All right, good morning. Talking Stocks with Coach B, Wednesday, June 30th. Thank you for joining in. Should be an interesting day. I don't know if anybody caught the live stream, the Power Hour live stream yesterday, but I am going to open up a new position in ATOS today. Just kind of a small bet. So I'm going to get to that first while I'm kind of waiting. Let's see here. This is the daily chart. So somebody called this out on the stream the other day, yesterday, about ATOS, and while this stock is on a huge run, I mean going back to December 17th, it was at 81 cents. Just as recent as April 20th, it was trading at about $1.50, and about a couple days ago, it hit a high of $9.80. So this thing's been on a monstrous run. Very risky to jump in right now, especially considering that it's already up huge, and it more than likely probably could fall down from here. A lot, maybe even back to $4 or $5. But the reason that I'm looking at it was the option chain and just the insane amount of open interest. So, we're looking at 53,000 and 57,000 shares or contracts, at the 750 and $9 strikes, 17,000 at 10, and another 50,000 at 12. This is a perfect setup to me for a gamma squeeze. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's what I'm going to bet on. And I say bet because this is really what it is. It's a bet. If it pays off, it'll be a high reward. If not, it'll just be the contracts will probably just burn, and I'll lose. But these are the type of plays that I like to get into: high risk, high reward. With small amounts of money. I'm not talking about YOLO. It's just a little bit of cash that I'm going to throw into it. So I just want to be clear on that. Nothing's changed with any of my other positions. This isn't a stock that I'm going to be, heavily invested in or anything. This is just I'm going to buy some options for the July 16th date and kind of see how it plays out. If it continues to push upwards, I think it's at right now trading at about 690. If it can get back into the 750 to $8 range, I think Gamma Squeeze has the potential to kick off, and that's what I'm going to be playing on. Other stocks I'm in, AVXL. I sold up here 2 days ago during the Power Hour live stream, and yesterday it did fill the gap. I bought in right when it filled this gap at 25, but depending on what happens today, it may be looking to drop down to 22 and fill that gap before it continues to run. A lot of positive news coming out or has came out about this company, so I would imagine that it's going to continue to bounce back up. Um, and I believe I went with August 20th calls on that one. Uh, at the top of the chain, just $45 calls, kind of the same as the ATOS, but for different reasons. But I'm basically just trying to play off the momentum and see if it's going to continue to go higher. These are both very, very tiny positions that I'm in. Nothing compared to the other three. BNGO is probably my next smaller position. If you've been following the channel, I've been trying to, see BNGO get up here and test this 1569. I do have a long-term position in BNGO, and I'm also, did some shorter-term calls that expire in August that I'm looking to, maybe kind of play off of this. It looks like it's finally reversed the trend. It's finally moving upwards, and this is a stock that I keep saying, does have the potential to move when things get going. So another one I'm watching, and then the big two. First up we have. I'll go over. Let's see. We'll go GME first. I know I got CLOV up right now, but Gamestop. I keep kind of talking about it. We found a bottom here. It looks like a new floor at $200, which is going to make it a higher springboard as the stock eventually squeezes upwards. Now it's going to be moving up from 200. A lot of stuff going on with the stock. Announcement of crypto NFT tokens should be coming in soon. along with the company sitting on $2 billion in cash almost. A lot of new executives, new chairman of the board, new CEO, and the company's kind of looks to be pivoting into new markets. You know, trying to get into e-commerce, potentially e-gaming, definitely into crypto. That's already been something that they've talked about. Just not sure what they're going to do there. And I'm really looking for this to kind of break above 350. And I think starting with this higher floor of around 200, it should be able to happen on the next run up. CLOV, you know, kind of the big play right now, in my opinion. A lot of stuff going on with it. I just did a video on CLOV a little while ago, and basically what I'm looking at here is, you know, yesterday, anyone who was following the stream, we I think yesterday we were sitting at about 48 million shares on loan, and we were tracking the Ortex data and kind of looking at, um, you know, what was going to happen in terms of, you know, were more shares getting borrowed because the cost to borrow was just getting insane. I mean, I think the average cost to borrow at one point yesterday was in like the 250% range. On the low end, 16%. I borrow desk shot up above 100%. So it's getting really expensive for these shorts to stay in these short positions on CLOV. And what we saw yesterday was an increase in shares borrowed. So, like I said, during the stream yesterday, we were watching, and the shares on loan jumped from 48 million. We were looking down here, which hasn't updated yet, but I remember kind of noticing that it was going up to 7 million almost net difference, at 1.8 million net difference, and that's reflected today. We have 55 million shares on loan now. The highest that we ever saw was, I think, 60.4, 61 million. So that kind of tells me that there's probably another 5 or 6 million available out there if, you know, shorts continue to try to hammer this stock. Um, but like I said, really dangerous game for them because it's costing a lot more to borrow. The other thing I want to point out is, you know, as they've been shorting and they borrowed those 7 million shares yesterday. Let's back this up to yesterday's price action. We did have that kind of gamma potential on the option chain where a lot of open interest between $13 and $15 strike. Um, Once we were able to break above 1350 yesterday, you know, we did see the option chain kind of kick in and push this price upward. My assumption, and this is really just an assumption, is that once we got upwards of 1450, to kind of prevent this from squeezing up to 16, that's when they started hammering us with those 7 million shares that were borrowed throughout the day. So we started seeing this stock getting hammered down basically throughout the rest of the day. But if anybody was on the Power Hour stream, you'll remember right when they got us down to about 1301, we started seeing some major buying support over here on the level 2. I don't recall the exact numbers, but I think it was like 100,000 shares, 50,000 shares. We started seeing all these buy orders come in. Price shot up immediately back up to 13.15, and we were able to finally close the day above 13, which has been the max pain number for the last couple weeks. Max pain being the point where market makers would like to suppress the price so that they'll make the most amount of money, right, between puts and calls that they're selling to people. So, um, you know, we could take a look at the option chain right now, but I think yesterday was ultimately a huge win. You know, looking at the 5-minute chart, CLOV is looking to gap up right now. We closed about 1330 yesterday, and right now we just hit 1395 about 10 minutes ago. So the stock is getting some buying pressure here in the morning. Could it be people returning shares? Possibly. You know, really hard to tell. The volume seems to be a little bit higher, you know, for pre-market than it has been in current days. Let me just verify that real quick. Um, eh, we're almost at a million volume. We're about at 826,000. So, but this is going to be huge because the option chain on CLOV right now, let's see, it still hasn't updated today. These are still yesterday's numbers. I don't know when they update. Maybe they wait until 6:30 a.m. But I was able to pull this up on a different app, on my Thinkorswim app, and there was a little decrease here at the $13 strike, but we did see some increases between 14, 14.50, 15, and I think even at 15.50. So opening up at $14 is going to put more calls in the money and could possibly lead us to a nice little gamma ramp up. Where maybe we see that same price action we saw yesterday that led us to 14.50. Except today, I think we'll have more fuel coming from the option chain, so it might push us a little higher. That's my expectation. That's kind of what I'm figuring is going to happen. iBorrow desk for CLOV right now has updated today, so and again, this is just one broker information, but 5,000 shares available, 135% fee coming from interactive brokers. Again, Ortex data showing that right now the cost to borrow is roughly around 53. That's high. Anything above 1, 2, or 3, percent is high. And we've seen, yesterday we saw a low of I think 16% on Ortex, and actually, it looks like the Ortex is starting to update now, give us some updated information here. So let's see here. Sorry, I got to get my screen in order. But there we go. So it looks like 179,000 shares were borrowed. Nothing's been returned yet. So this upward momentum that we're seeing right now really does seem to be buying pressure from retail or whoever else may be buying the stock. Minimum cost to borrow is now 134%. That's insane. That's At some point these shorts are going to be forced out, and with these cost of borrows rising, I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Um, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Now that Ortex is starting to report in shares that are coming in and out today, kind of keep an eye on that and see if people start covering or if shares start getting returned. Also looking forward to seeing this option data update here. Okay, it did. Wow, that was quick. So about six, maybe at 6:10 they do it every day. So like I said, if you look now, we did see a drop off at the $13 strike, but we saw an increase in all these other numbers. So 8,000 now at 13.50, almost 16,000 at 14, and 8,000 at 14.50, and then 15,000 at $15 strike. So and not a lot of offsetting puts here. So my assumption is if we can get this price to continue to rise like it is, even in pre-market, if we open up above 1350, or at these 1380 ranges, maybe even at 14, it should push the stock a little higher. All right, I've been talking for a while. Let me check out the chat real quick. Because right at the market open, I'm going to be looking to open that position at on ATOS that I was talking about. So let's see here. Good morning. $15 call for Friday on CLOV. A decent move if we think it could get up to 15 today with the mini squeeze. Definitely a bet. I would say this. If you've never played with options before and that sort of thing, and you want to learn, my suggestion would be maybe to buy like one call for something like 2 months out, and probably stay away from something like CLOV that's got high IV because it's going to be more expensive. Let me check the IV real quick on CLOV just to see, make sure I'm not just making stuff up right now. But to answer your question, so IV's 150 right now. That's not extremely ridiculous. So a $15 option right now on CLOV for this Friday would cost you, looks like 35 cents. Those are prices as of yesterday. Because we're gapping up a little, I would imagine that's going to be a little bit more expensive, but 35 cents would probably, so that's going to be about 30, might cost you anywhere from $35 to $50 when the market opens right now. And yeah, if we get a run up today up to $15, you're going to see um, that thing go into the money and probably, be worth a significant amount more, and you could make a decent profit. But again, if you've never really done it before and you really want to do it on CLOV and do something like that, it's a good way to learn if you have the $50 to spare, but you're not giving yourself a lot of time. I mean, typically, if I was going to enter into something that was going to expire this week, um, I mean, I can see movement in CLOV. I don't want to tell you not to do it and then you could make a ton of money. But if you've never done it before, maybe start with one or two and just kind of see how it goes. But know that, if we don't get to 15 and you don't sell, tomorrow it's going to be worth less. Friday it's going to be even worth even less. So for your first time, I think that's maybe a rough one to get into, but there is potential to make money on it. So if you bought a 15 call today, right at the market open, and we saw a nice run up and we hit $15, $16, and you dump it right there at the peak, you're gonna make a pretty significant profit, a lot more than you would with shares. Just be very careful, especially if you're still learning. Good morning. Thank you for joining again. Appreciate the support. Good morning, Coach. Love your recap of yesterday on the sub. Let's go CLOV. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, then I know what you're talking about too. Then they're going to lose control. With the we kind of let this gamma ramp take over, and the cost to borrow is so high right now. So we'll have to see how that goes. New news on the Clover website: SEC filing. You know what? I did see that there was a filing. Someone posted it in the Discord right before I jumped on the live stream, and I went to the website, and there's two different prospectus that got listed today. I'll even pull them up real quick. Um, but I didn't have a chance to look through them. And to be honest, I'm just going to be completely honest. That's not really my forte. I don't really even know what to look at if I was going to look at them. But I couldn't really tell. So this is what we're talking about here. It was, they did file two documents today, June 30th. Prospectus Rule 424B3 and Prospectus Rule 423 or 424B3. But this document is extremely long. I mean, there's 157 or more pages in it, and I'm not even sure what I'm looking at. I'm just being completely honest on that. So I was kind of expecting when I did see that maybe a little bit later on today there'll be some more information coming through on the CLOV subreddit, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for. That somebody else that is a little bit more knowledgeable will put out some information on what these SEC filings mean. And I'm sure you will be seeing that. If you're not familiar with the CLOV subreddit, I put a link the other day and I've been adding it to all the streams. So if you go into the details of the stream, there's a link to it. A lot of great information on there. I also put a link to the CLOV Discord and actually, I think it was the Discord that somebody posted it on. And I'll actually pull that up right now and see if, just because I'm interested as well, I want to see if anyone posted anything after that. Like, there we go, main chat. So nothing yet, nothing in terms of like what it actually means, but I'm sure it'll come out soon. I'm sure somebody will post kind of an in-depth thing. So that's why it's also important, like I said, to follow the Discord, follow the subreddit, and you'll kind of get that information even faster than I am because while I'm here on the stream, I'm not able to kind of do that research. So, um, Christina, good morning. Thank you for joining. Let's see. Is that a buy wall at 14? It might have disappeared if there was one. My bad for being behind on the chat. Looks like 7,000 shares for sale at 13.93. 13.95, 4,000 shares. Only 2,000 at 14. So the more significant numbers in here right now is 13.93 and also 14.11. I'm sure once the market opens, though, these numbers are going to get a lot bigger on both the buy and sell side. Let's see here. ATOS, yeah. So if you joined a little bit late, I kind of went over that just a little bit, and I'll give a brief overview. But I am gonna open up a small position on ATOS, like very small, maybe like 5 contracts or 10 contracts. Um, but ATOS right now, let me go back to the daily chart. Someone called this out on the afternoon stream yesterday to check it out. And I mean, the stock is up insane from $1.50 a while back in April to hit 9.80 the other day. Super risky play. Um, you know, I'm going into this knowing that the money that I'm putting in right now may just burn up. But the reason I'm doing it is the options chain on this is absolutely loaded up. 50. The float is pretty similar to CLOV, so 100 million float. Um, and so when you're looking at these calls that are already in the money, and then the calls that are right outside the money at 750 strike, 53,000, at the $9 strike, 57,000, $10 strike, 17,000, and then all the way up to the $12 strike, 50,000. There's a lot of open interest on this stock, and the potential is there for a gamma squeeze. Now, anybody who's been following me knows that these are very far and few between when they actually hit. But looking at this stock, it's already been running, and I mean, it's ran up so much. Why wouldn't it continue to? So this is a bet. It's not necessarily that I'm just going to open a very small position in this morning to kind of see if what I'm. There, I'll go back to it too. So what I'm looking at here is what I'm going to enter into is probably just this $16 strike. It'll cost about $45 to $50 a contract. I might open up anywhere from 5 to 10 of them. And that way, if this gamma squeeze takes off and this thing propels to 20, it should be a really decent return, but it's a very, very high risk play. Again, enter at your own risk and just know that if you are going to throw a little money in there, very high possibility that it's going to burn up completely. And even shares, I think, would probably be scary at this point too, because you're talking about a stock that, let's say you bought 100 shares, you're putting in $980, and what's to stop this stock from falling back down to $100 or $1? And now it's worth $100. So that's why in this situation specifically, I'd rather just buy some calls. Now I'm in. If it happens, I make a huge return. If it doesn't, I knew that I was betting, $400 when I went into the play, and I'm okay with losing that. Like this is a true bet that I'm placing here. So, all right. I hope I answered your question on ATOS. Okay. And I just gave you the take on ATOS. So yeah, so I really do think that it has the potential for a gamma squeeze. It really does. But I don't know too much else about the stock. I did look around their subreddit a little bit last night, and I also found some posts in a penny stock sub, and there was some other interesting stuff going on. I know that it was included in the Russell 2000 recently, and that's where a lot of the buying pressure came from. It also seems to be somewhat shorted. 20% is a high short interest, and that's where it's sitting at right now. So if it continues to go up, not only would we see, somewhat of that gamma squeeze, but potentially a short squeeze too, talking about a stock that's up, 10 times what it was trading at 2 months ago, so there's a lot of potential there, and that's why I'm going to throw a little bit of money at it and see what happens. Good morning. Thanks for joining again. Good morning. Jawad, thank you for turning this on to that yesterday. I appreciate it. Hopefully it pans out. We can all make some money on it. And yes, ATOS Therapeutics. Good morning, Scotty. Thank you for coming in. And all right, bought 8 shares of ATOS. Yeah, so let's see what happens. That's what I was thinking. Cheap enough to throw a dart at, $40 a contract. It may be a little more though too, but it looks like just looking at ATOS, and I'll actually, let me see. I'm gonna go CLOV. click over here. I gotta learn this Webull stuff. So I clicked on CLOV, but then when I click over here to GME, it's changing my charts over here. I'm not really sure what's up with that. But either way, I'm gonna leave ATOS up just for the open here, because it is going down right now. You know, it closed yesterday somewhere around 718, and it's now down to 671. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But that's going to make those options a little bit cheaper too. And nothing's really changed. It's just it really needs to get past that 750 strike to kind of start making a difference, I think, because gamma squeeze is working the opposite too, right? So the further that this thing can be shorted down, the reverse effect you'll see in the options chain, and you'll start to see, you know, these 19,000 calls get unhedged, these 14,000 calls get unhedged. You know, once we kind of get below 28,000 calls get unhedged. So it can also create a downward pressure too. That's why I said high risk play, but one that I'm willing to kind of throw a dart at, exactly like Nolan just said. So getting back to the charts. So let me get this pulled up. Man, this is driving me crazy. So what's happening is with Webull, and it may be something that I'm just not used to, but whenever I click, so I have these charts up right here, and then over here on my other monitor, I have another 9 charts that I'm using on Webull, and then once I click away, it's switching the charts. Click on chart first, then watch list STK to keep the funny stuff away. All right, let me try that. So click on chart first, then watch list. Where's my watch list at? I haven't even learned that part yet. Watch list. And now if I, oh no, but now I changed that to Apple. See, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But it didn't though. It didn't change what I was doing. Cool. That did work. Thank you. So click on the chart, kind of move over to watch list, and then get over to the other one. That makes sense. Okay. All right. So where we at? It's 6:27. Anybody who's new to the stream or just joining, hit the subscribe button. You'll get notified, and turn on your notifications, and then you'll get notified whenever I go live or put out a video. I did put out a video yesterday on this ATOS play that I'm looking to open. Again, very high risk, but we'll see what happens. You know, these are the kind of plays that I like to bet on and throw a little bit of money at. And sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. You know, I'm still heavy in CLOV, still heavy in GME. Nothing's changed there. But I am going to try to open up a position right now in ATOS as soon as the market opens at 6:30. Maybe even after that opening candle, you know, just to see where the option pricing is going to be at, because I'm looking to buy some $16 strikes. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Again, appreciate the support. Everyone who's in here too. If you are enjoying the content, hit the like button. I've heard that helps with the algorithm stuff and kind of making the video more visible to other people. I don't really know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard. And also, you know, share the video with a friend. Hit subscribe, all that good stuff. And I keep saying this, but go out and subscribe to the other YouTubers that are also covering CLOV, because I think it's going to help to build the entire community. One more time before the market opens, I want to say this. In the details of the video, I've been putting every day, or trying to remember to, a link for the Discord and a link for the CLOV subreddit, because those are great resources for information. And like I said, someone called out earlier that there was an SEC filing today on CLOV. I looked at it at a glance. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at, so I'll be checking the CLOV subreddit and the Discord throughout the day to kind of see what kind of update comes out on that. Like I said, I'm learning every day too. I have been doing this for a while, but there's so much stuff going on. It's really hard to follow. So, good morning, Jordan. Elon's back. What's up, Elon? Nice to see you 2 days in a row. Slim, good morning to you too. Okay, so we got the market open. In terms of CLOV, we might see like a gap down here to 1330 because I know that's where it closed yesterday. We did get all the way up to 14 in pre-market, but we'll see what happens. And like I said, I'm going to check out this CLOV also entering the day at 1.3 million volume. So these ATOS $16 calls are now going for about 20 bucks. And the $10 calls are a little bit more expensive. I like that at 20. Let's see. Buy to open. Review order. Looks like I got filled at... Has it come through yet? So I bought 10 $16 strikes. I'm in for the gamma squeeze if it happens. And it looks like it cost me about 32 cents. So even cheaper than what we were talking about. I was talking about $40 possibly. I got in at 30 cents, 32 cents. So I'm in. I got 10 contracts. Let's see what happens. We really need to see ATOS get back up in the $7 range. And we don't want to see it going backwards. Oh, God, I got to get used to this weeble. All right, so let's see here. Dutch was talking short-term calls, dip action, and flipping. Okay, like kind of like, buy on a dip when it runs up, get back out or something like that. Yeah, that could work. It's just I've made a lot of money doing that with Gamestop. Not flipping my shares, but buying calls low, selling high. It just sometimes it could backfire too when you buy those calls and then the stock continues to get hammered down and you're close to expiration. But you can make a lot of money doing that too. I would just say you want to be a little bit more experienced with options before you go crazy. If you want to do it with one contract, two contracts, and see how it goes. If you're learning, absolutely. But if you're still learning, I wouldn't go try to dump in with 20 calls and spend a ton of money. I just want everyone to be safe too. Take your time to learn it. But I also think that jumping in and getting hands on is how you're going to learn. So I'm not saying don't do it, but if you are learning, take baby steps. It's always going to be better. What time does the short interest come out? So I kind of, here, I'll pull that over right now. I already got into my ATOS position, so I'm all good there. I want to see, this isn't showing me what I got filled at. I got filled at 28 cents. Even better. All right, cool. So, short interest change. Let's look at Ortex data real quick. Shares on loan I went over earlier was at 55 million. Percent of free float on loans at 49%. And I'd imagine that's going to go up as shares continue to be borrowed today. And our estimated short interest right now is 37%. Utilization still 100. In terms of tracking today, we are at still just 179,000 borrowed, no shares returned. So, hope that answers your question. But a lot of shares were borrowed yesterday, almost 7 million shares. And, they weren't able to get the price below 13. Even right now, we're seeing this huge wick in the opening candle. And, it looks like we found some support around 1346. Just see how it plays out. Sometimes these opening 5-minute candles are a little hard, because we're establishing a range. But it looks like right now this range is running from 1346 up to 1394. That's a pretty wide range. If we can establish somewhere in there and then continue to break out, I think once we break above 1375, $14, we'll see the same type of price action we saw yesterday. I have CLOV $10 calls expiring August 20th contracts. Should I sell now or just let it ride? Well, I mean, it really depends what your intention is, right? So, and what you're looking to do, because you're getting a lot of time premium, I would imagine. And I don't want to pull away from the chart, so I'm just going to look over here at CLOV. Um, but a $10, is it August 20th? Yeah, August 20th call right now is trading at about 450, which prices the stock at 1450. So you're basically getting $1 in time premium. Um, so I guess the question becomes: do you think that the stock is going to move more than $1 between now and August 20th? And the reason I say that is, if you sell right now, the stock's trading at 1350, but you're able to get 450 for it. So you're getting that extra dollar because of the time premium that's there. But if you think that the stock's going to go downwards, then you sell. If you think the stock's going to go up, I can tell you right now, if the stock moves to 1450, that call's going to be worth at least 550 now. If the stock moves to 1650, now that call's going to be worth at least 650. So, because you're in the money, you're going to get dollar for dollar movement moving forward. So it really just depends on kind of where you believe the stock's going to go. But you are sitting on $1 a time premium. So keep that in mind. Let's see here. Nice bounce right away on CLOV in the morning. Yeah. I mean, pre-market was looking really nice, and we did get up to $14. Let's see what happens here. I would imagine that we are kind of getting a little short attack right off the gates. They're probably going to try to drive this thing down below 13 right away, before we get that buying momentum and get the little gamma squeeze that we saw yesterday kind of coming back in. So we'll see how that plays out. Let me zoom in on these. Don't know how ITM calls. In the money calls. Walk us through it. I think I'm tired. I think I might have forgot exactly what I was talking about when you put that on there. Sorry. Thanks for the coverage. Yeah. So, are you talking about once you get in the money? How I'm saying you move dollar for dollar. If that's what you're talking about, basically what I'm saying is like, if let's say your strike price is even at 12 right now, that means you're $1.50 in the money. So now, as the stock continues to move up, once it moves to $14, $15, every time the stock moves up $1, your contract price should move up $1. When it's deep in the money like that, and then but your time premium, like we were just talking about, there's a $1. You're paying a $1 premium almost to buy that call right now. Every single day that it gets closer to expiration, that $1 time premium is going to slowly decay and go away. But if the stock's continuing to go up, the price of the contract will move up just because of the delta, um, and the underlying. So it's really kind of buying on dips. Okay, buying on dips in the money. I got you. Now you're talking about that buying those dips on the money. So yeah, let me just show you kind of basically how that would work, and that plays into exactly what I was just talking about with getting that dollar for dollar movement. But let's say that right now CLOV is dipping down. Well, now it's taking off, but CLOV was to dip down and hit down to like $13. If you went in and bought a $10 call deep in the money, you'd probably be paying somewhere around $4 for that call when it got down to 13. And at that point, now if it rides up, and let's say throughout the day, CLOV rides back up and touches 14, when it gets up to 14, that call would be worth about probably $5 at that point. So now you could sell it then. You just made $100, something like that. And then there also IV comes into play and a lot of other stuff. But I think that's what he's talking about. And buying in the money like that gives you that dollar for dollar movement. So as it goes up $1, your contract's going to go up $1. which equates to $100 profit because, you know, each contract stands for 100 shares. What's going on with ATOS? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I know this is a heavily shorted stock, one that I was just kind of, throwing in a bet on. It did find support at this $6 level, and just looking, it looks like it's even got some buying support now, even at 627, 622. But there's a ton of open interest on this stock, and that's why I was getting into play it. That's kind of what I was banking on when I bought those calls, and they ended up being cheaper than I even thought when I made the video last night. So hopefully it pans out. Let's see here. Borrow fee is so high. These people shorting with open positions are bleeding out. They have to be so pissed off. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, it's ridiculously high today. The low on Vortex right now is reported at 134%. That's the low. That's the lowest that of all the lenders that Vortex pulls from. That people are paying. So we really got to see how this thing goes. Let's see here. Do I do it for income? You talking about like buying the dips and flipping them? I haven't done it too much on CLOV, just because some of the price ranges in CLOV don't really make it, really worthwhile. And what I mean by that is, like in the example I just said, if you would have bought this dip down here at 1350 and rode it up to 1415, you're only getting a 65% move or 65-cent move, which is really, $65. That's not a huge, to me, that's not really worth it. Now, obviously, if you bought 10 of them, you'd be looking at $650 or whatever. But I have done it with GameStop on some of the more volatile days because, on some of those days with GameStop where the range of the stock was maybe going, trading between $220 down to $160, that's a $60 difference. So now when GameStop goes down and it's sitting at a low in the 160 range, you go in there and buy an option on that. They're more expensive though because it's a higher price stock. And now if it rises up, let's say even to 170, 180 on a bounce back because it's got that nice range, a $20 move on an in the money call is $2,000 profit. So I have done it in the past when GameStop was being a little bit more volatile, but even the range on GameStop lately has been kind of shrinking on most days. We've maybe seen like $5 to $10 movements where, back when I was doing it more, we were seeing like sometimes $40 movements in one day, $60 movements in one day, where it would, kind of run up, get shorted down, and then bounce back again. But it can be a pretty decent strategy to trade options like that. Um, you just got to kind of, the same technical analysis you would use when you're looking for entry and exit points, day trading with just regular stocks. You're basically doing the same thing with options. So you'd be watching the bar chart, look for where you think the stock is ready to bounce, buy in the money options, and that's cheaper than buying shares. Let's see. Back to learning about options. Looking at AVXL, there's barely any open interest on any of their calls. What's that mean exactly? That really just means that there's not a ton of open interest in the stock because I've noticed that with AVXL too. For all the great news and all the movement that the stock has had, it's mostly been attributed to people buying shares, and options haven't played that major of a role. So as it picks up, and let's say it continues to fire up from here, and people jump in, open interest is basically just an indicator of, or IV is an indicator of the open interest. Is how many calls are being bought. So there's not a lot of interest right now from options buyers in AVXL. Is basically what you're looking at there. But the options still work the same, right? So if you go in there and buy one and the underlying stock moves up, you should still make some money on it. Slim says we're moving up. Yes, we are. It looks like, maybe that was a little bit of a short attack early, and maybe we got through it. I mean, if you watched my video earlier, I really think they're running out of firepower now. I mean, that's my suspicion. You know, I mean, um, we're back up to 55.5 million shares on loan, and the highest we've ever seen was 60 million, and that was only for one day. And those shares might not even be available on loan anymore. You know, there may not be any shares to borrow at this point, so we just got to see where it goes. Another thing I did notice on ATOS was I want to say they dropped 10% yesterday, so they should be on the SSR. I haven't confirmed that, but if they are, you know, there's that whole SSR downtick rule. But we've seen that with CLOV too, and that does not account for naked short selling and some of the other manipulative tactics that happen with stocks. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens. Scotty says, look at that wick. Yeah, we went all the way up to 14.17. Um, cheap calls, too easy, very little to lose. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm glad you. You know, it made sense. Sometimes it's hard when I'm just reading the text to make sure I'm answering the right questions and stuff. Let's see. CLOV fighting hard this morning already. Yeah, and you know, I think a lot of that does, I keep repeating it, have to do with obviously buying pressure that's coming in. You know, especially as you can see here, we have a 9,300 buy order at 669, 9,300 buy order at 657, and 9,300 at 654. Wow, 9,300 at 647, 9,300 at 645. That's kind of weird to see those buying orders kind of all line up. And if you look, we see the same sell orders at 704, 7, 699, 688. Huh. Oh, I'm looking at ATOS. Man, I'm tripping. Uh, Getting back to CLOV. Sorry, guys. I'm still getting used to Weeble. But I do want to not to get off topic of what I was just talking about. That's pretty weird on ATOS's chain right there. That almost looks like a market maker trying to lock this stock within that range and not get it to 750. I've seen similar stuff like this happen with GameStop, even with CLOV in the past, where you know when they're trying to lock a price, basically they're setting up buy walls and sell walls so that the stock won't go up or down, you know, and kind of locking it in a specific range. So we'll have to see what happens there. In regards to CLOV, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this is options induced. Once we start getting up here and we see this big movement, you know, like I said, there's a lot of open interest once we get past 1350 all the way up to 15. So I think every time we kind of bounce into this range today, as long as people haven't sold their calls already, we'll see this continue to try to ramp up and then probably continue to get knocked down. I swing traded options on GME and was able to make 130K in like 2 days. But damn, was it scary? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Um, it's definitely risky, definitely scary, but there's a lot of money you can make. You know, kind of trading options like that. But the longer you hold on to options, the more you stand to lose. You know, with that time decay kicking in. Okay, actually, so you're talking about the market as a whole. So let's take a look. So CLOV right now. I'm just gonna take a look at some of these other ones. And there I go, changing charts again. Damn it. I gotta really figure this out how it locks in. I know Nolan just told me. Uh, Nolan, you know what too? If you know how, if you could, because it seems like you know a little bit more about Weeble. The one thing that I can't figure out right now is how to get the daily percentage gain and loss up here. I'm used to seeing that. You know, right now it only shows like if I hover over a specific candle, what the percentage of that candle was, but it doesn't tell me what the percentage that the stock is up or down on the day. So if you know that, you can throw that in the chat. I appreciate it. But just looking around the market, it looks like, you know, AMC kind of had a down candle at the beginning, and now it went 2 green in a row. Very similar. Um, for those of you watching AVXL, as I am, hit a low of 23.45, and you know now trading at $24. BNGO gap or kind of came down at the open. Now trading at 724. The S&P 500 looks like it's actually rising. It opened the day at 427, and it's now up to like 427.74. Let's see. ATOS, Yahoo Finance, very bullish, short, mid, and long. Okay. Like I said, I mean, I haven't, and normally I won't jump into a play like I did yesterday, but I think I was pretty clear on the video that I didn't know too much about the stock. When I made it, and my whole intention was purely based off options. Normally, I do a little bit more research and kind of get into like what's driving me, my interest in it. But right now, with this one, it was purely on the speculation of an option play. Let's see here. Morning, dude. Found you on Reddit via ATOS. You're exactly right on that about ATOS. Yeah, I mean, so someone must have posted that video in there. That's awesome. I'll have to go check it out. If you can, let me know what the name of the subreddit is, and I'll go jump in there because I actually do post a lot on. Recently, I started posting a lot in the CLOV subreddit. Otherwise, I had just been a lurker for the prior year or so that I've been on there watching and stuff. But if you could throw in the what the actual Reddit subreddit is, I'd love to go in there and check it out. Let's see here. We had great buzz on Wall Street Bets last night. I even wrote a CLOV poem, and now you got the Celtics shirt on. Today might be the day. Yeah, I've been wearing this a lot lately. I know I explained on one of the previous live streams, but I live in the Bay Area, so I'm a Warriors fan. But growing up, I love Larry Bird and I love Michael Jordan, so I always liked the Bulls and the Celtics as well. And my son plays in a rec basketball league, and so every season they switched teams. Well, he had been on the Celtics before, and so when he got on the Celtics, I went out and bought this shirt. And I also own one Bulls shirt for the very same reason. There was a different year that he played on the Bulls, and I bought that shirt as well. Um, Other than that, though, I mean, he's played on the Clippers, the Kings, like all kinds of other teams. And I'm not buying their apparel. But I grew up liking the Celtics and the Bulls, so and then this shirt's got the little clover on it, so that's why I've been wearing it a lot lately. Let's see. Where's the CLOV poem at? I want to check it out. Yeah, if you want to drop the link in here, maybe we can. Or actually, I shouldn't. Don't do that because Wall Street Bets will delete your post if they find out that you are posting links to it in other places. Uh, I've seen some posts get deleted for that recently. Let's see. Motley Fool just published an article about CLOV, praising it short and long term. Might help with the short term momentum. Yeah, I mean, Motley Fool gets a bad rap from, you know, a lot of the retail investors, that kind of frequent Wall Street Bets and the subreddits and those sort of things. Um, because they are very manipulative with stocks and they are tied in with a lot of hedge funds and stuff, but they do have a lot of a big following. So when Motley Fool publishes an article, a lot of times you will see a stock move. They can influence a lot of people. Um, let's see. Click chart button, top left, edit and all to modify chart info. Chart button, top left. Okay, chart button. Sorry guys, I'm learning as we're doing this too. So I know I can go to modify chart info. So when I go to this chart settings though, I don't see, like I've been looking in here and I don't see somewhere where I could see that percentage mark. Like I'm used to looking. And today I actually switched all my charts over here from TradingView to Webull to try it out. But now as I'm clicking on these to see what percentage of stock is up for the day, it's swapping my charts over here. So I just got to get more familiar. But I don't see that unless there's something else. Oh, there. What did I just hit? Oh, order flow. Let me get rid of that. Exit. Okay, so here's the chart, and there is the edit button. But that looks like indicators. Sorry guys, everybody else that's let's see. Subchart. I see volume. I want to look for a percentage. And that just looks like main chart. I'll figure it out later. But thank you. Settings, get chart heads too. Clover tat on the forehead. Clover tat on your forehead. Nah, I don't even want to make any promises about something like that because then I'll have to follow through with it. My wife will kill me. I will tell you this though. I said it yesterday before we signed off of the morning stream, and I'll keep it rolling for the rest of the week. We get above 15, I'm gonna go grab a couple cocktails and drink while we're, to celebrate while we're on here. I think that'll be a significant level. So I'll throw that one out. I'm playing ATOS as well, but with house money. It's risky, but it could pay off big time. Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge. And I know a lot of people just looking at the charts on ATOS, that thing's up tremendously since April. So I'd imagine a lot of people were able to kind of sell and maybe jump back in. There has been some consolidation moments and some dips where you can get in at. But I mean, looking at that type of setup on an option chain, that seems like in relation to the size of ATOS's float, that's bigger than anything I've ever seen, even with like, Gamestop and AMC and some of the other gamma squeezes that I've been a part of. I mean, that setup with 50,000 open interest at 750 and 9 is just absolutely insane. And, I think that as it passes those numbers, and we got 2 weeks on that too, right? It expires on July 16th. So to me, this seems like a very good high risk, high reward play. Just looking around, GameStop is now trading at 210. AVXL looks maybe it's going to make a run to 25 again, trading at 24.66. AMC heading downwards. Oh wait, see I'm zoomed out. 55.31. And BNGO 726. The SPY is starting to come down off its high of the day, and it's now at 427.49. Just fell through VWAP. So just keeping an eye on some of these other stocks. Maybe see how they relate to some of the ones we're watching. Let's see here. There once was an apricot that bought in at 14 with the promise of a squeeze. What a wonderful dream. Short ladder attacks, paper hands were afraid, but he returned to our CLOV nation night after night. I know I didn't say that and make it rhyme. My bad. It's probably easier when you look at the space breaks. I'll try that again in a little bit, but I'm assuming that's the poem that you said you saw or you put on Wall Street Bets. Let's see. Drinks at 15 is 10 a.m. Shit, it's not even 7 a.m. here. I'm on the West Coast, but I'm down to have a couple if we can get past 15. When is your ATOS call expiring? I just bought it for July 16th, and only because that's the cheapest one available. I bought the highest strike, the $16 strike, and only because what I'm looking at is gamma squeeze is going to happen or it's not, right? I mean, the setup for the gamma squeeze is there for July 16th, so I bought the cheapest call available so that if it happens, I got a little skin in the game. I think I got in at 28 cents this morning on this dip down here. I bought it right at the open. I think I even bought it here before it dipped down to 605, but I got in at 28 cents, and right now it's worth 37 cents. So I'm up about what $9 per call, and I bought 10 of them, so I'm up about $90. But it's not like I threw a ton of money at it. I bought 10 calls for $280. So, but if this thing explodes, it could really pay off. My charts are turning green, all of them. Yeah, just looking around. Why did my BB turn off? Yeah, I might have to, when I come back on for the afternoon stream, I may just put my trading view back up over here just so that it's not messing around when I click over. But I'll figure it out. I just got to get used to it. I know a lot of people use this app, and I really love it. It's just me getting familiar with it, and it runs a lot faster than Thinkorswim, and that's what I love about it. You should have a watch party tailgating. That would be awesome. Like, you talking about like get a bunch of people together and we're sitting there watching. We'll get a TV up, and we're gonna need some cameras and tripods and stuff. Add a cork to the wine glass every time CLOV hits the next dollar mark. You know what? I probably. I'm not really into wine. Funny. I will drink red wine. You know, when like me and my wife, if we'll go out to dinner, and we used to be really into it. She still is. Um, but I had some stomach issues. Not to go off on a really long story, but I had some stomach issues about a year ago. Actually, almost 2 years ago now, and I had to change my whole diet, change what I was eating, and also kind of change what I was drinking. I haven't drank beer in a long time now. So if I'm having like a beer or something, I've been drinking those like seltzers, like your Trulies, White Claws, those sort of things, because they don't mess up my stomach as much. And I've also, or just regular hard liquor, but wine sometimes lately has been bothering my stomach, and definitely beer. I can't do beer anymore. I haven't had a beer in about 2 years. Um, what's your car brand of choice? Uh, I mean, probably a Chevy if I had to pick one. I'm not really like only because I do have a Chevy Silverado, um, and back in the day I had a Camaro. Um, so I mean, if I had to pick one, maybe a Chevy, I guess. But I want to buy at some point. Been looking to get maybe like a something bigger like a Tahoe Suburban, maybe even like a Escalade. I've been depends how good these stocks do, but I knew my next car purchase is probably going to be an SUV, and I guess if I could have whatever one of my choice, it would probably be a Cadillac. Um, but those things are expensive as hell. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna need one of these stocks to really take off and make me some money at some point. Um, hopefully Gamestop. Let's see. Starting at 14. Okay, so throw some, but that means I gotta drink the wine. You know what? I have to just maybe we'll start that next week, and I'll tell my wife to start clearing out the wine cabinet and drinking some and saving the cork tops for me. Let's see. Quotes widget. Quotes widget. All right, so I'm gonna. You know what? Well, I can look back through this chat too. I don't want to do it all right now while we're in the middle of the stream, but I appreciate all these little tips because as soon as we sign off at 8 a.m., Nolan, I'm gonna go through and look through all this stuff you're talking about and really explore it all because I know there's so much more that Webull can offer. Some of you guys have been saying it, and then I was even texting with one of my buddies, and he's like, "Yeah, I use Webull now," and he was showing me all these other screenshots and stuff he's been doing on it. So I just got to learn, take the time to kind of go through and get familiar with it. Hey, coach, I'm very new to this, but I bought as many CLOV shares as I could afford. Can you talk me through what happens during a squeeze from your experience? Is there stuff I should or shouldn't do? Well, I'll tell you this much. In terms of like a true short squeeze, you know, like I don't necessarily believe that GameStop was done squeezing when it got stopped. Um, you know, and I was a part of AMC Gamma squeeze up to 73. I put out a video a couple nights earlier, bought some calls, and kind of sold when I saw it. Looked like it was starting to die off. But really, for me, on the AMC one, it was more once I saw it kind of get to the top of the option chain and find resistance. That to me, that was a sell signal. Um, but to be honest with you, and I don't know who knows how high this is going to go, but it is nice to start thinking about an exit strategy. Um, for me, I think you definitely probably want to cover your cost basis. And I know that this might be different than what a lot of other people will say. hold forever, don't sell, all this kind of stuff. But I think you want to definitely cover your cost basis. Um, like I'll just throw out a random number. Let's say I have 1,000 shares of CLOV that I bought at $12. So my cost basis is 12,000. Um, if all of a sudden we start squeezing up and we get to about 30, $40, upwards of $50, maybe you sell enough because at that point now you put in 10 grand and you're sitting at a 50, you're trading at 50,000. Um, Maybe you sell enough to take care of that $10,000 cost basis just to protect yourself to make sure you don't lose. And then as it goes up a little bit more, maybe, and to get to that point, just to, step backwards a little bit, to get to that point, you would basically be selling 200 shares. So you'd be selling about 20% of what you have. Now, as you continue to go higher, maybe you sell in 20% increments. I have done that in some bigger squeezes, like GameStop, for instance, on the way up. The very first time I bought in at 30. Um, when I woke up one morning and saw it in pre-market trading above 500, I kind of did the same thing. I got rid of a couple shares. I think about 10% of my shares to kind of cover my initial investment, and some with the profit and everything. And then I tried to hold on to the rest, and they pulled the plug on it, and it dropped from 480 down to about mid 200s before I actually realized, like, okay, um, it's not going back up. They manipulated the stock, and that's when I just dumped them all. But I still made a profit, because I got in at 30. I got my whole position out at 210. Yeah, I could have made more at 480, but I thought it was going to go higher. And I really believe it still would have if they wouldn't have pulled the plug on it. So it's really hard to say, but I think you should have some sort of plan. For me, my plan is always, no matter what, whether it be a squeeze or anything, um, to get out my initial investment plus some profit at some point. And that way, the rest that you're letting ride is all profit, right? And it's always easy to look back and say, man, I could have made more. But at the end of the day, what you don't want to say is, I can't believe I lost, right? So as long as you're not losing money, I think you're good. Um, Chevy, we could stay friends. If you said Ford, I was going to unsub. Yeah, no, I've never really, I've always been Chevy. I mean, like, I own a Silverado. My wife drives a GMC. And usually when we buy cars, they're usually Chevys and GMCs. But I would love to get a Cadillac at some point too. Um, I want to make enough money on CLOV to buy a 2020 Corvette. Yeah, that sounds pretty nice too. If I was gonna buy, I wouldn't really like in terms of people talk about Lambos and all that kind of stuff. And maybe it's just because I got kids and I can't even fit them in a Lambo or a Corvette for that matter. But if I was gonna really like go kind of splurge and spend something on myself, I actually wouldn't be spending that much money. I'd probably you know, like I said, Cadillac Escalade, something like that, or something bigger like that. And then I'd probably start getting into like some old school cars, and just start, building a collection of cars that I've always liked, from kind of like 60s, 70s, around that era. Let's see. What most retail investors don't seem to understand about high options open interest is that market makers are constantly unhedging to stay delta neutral, leading to supercharged price movements in both directions. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, gamma squeezes and the potential for gamma squeezes works both ways. So, um, downward price action will also lead to violent downward price action the same way that upward price action will lead to violent upward price action because of the open interest. So those same shares get unhedged the same way that they get hedged. Like I said, I'm kind of just banking on this is a bet. Somebody loaded up that option chain. Somebody bought 50,000 calls at those strikes, or maybe 30,000, or however many. But there has to be some whale, I would assume, that came in and bought up the majority of that open interest. So I would imagine that same person is going to try to strike at some point and push this stock to the point where it will squeeze. Um, Need to learn more about options trade guidelines. There's so much involved in options. There's a really simple book, and I know where'd it go? This is a really great book. I mean, I've read some like 300, 400 page books on options where I learned a lot about how the Greeks work and all that other stuff. And really, it's a lot of information that you necessarily, I don't want to say don't need to know, um, but this one was very simple. It's called The Options Playbook. And it's actually, reads kind of like a playbook. So you could like look up, you know, there we go. Like there's a long strangle. It tells you what it does. It explains how you would order it, and it explains. This is a really really cool book, and I think I got it on Amazon for like $15 or $20, and I mean this is an invaluable resource. It was called The Options Playbook, and it's by Ally Invest. It's a great reference tool. I think I got this about maybe 6, 7 months ago. I found it on Amazon and kind of intriguing, so I picked it up. But prior to that, I had read through all these other books that, for me, I like to read. But after looking at this, it's like, yeah, it's good to have that background information, but I really didn't need it all. This gives you enough to kind of get your feet in there. There's also some really good YouTube channels out there that have really put a lot of effort with graphics and tutorials. I did make a video a while back on, kind of like an introduction to options and explaining just the basics and how to go about buying and selling a call contract. I was going to continue with it and keep kind of going, but it really didn't get too many views, so I figured people weren't that interested in it, or there's already so many resources out there, so I kind of felt like, why spend the time if people aren't watching it? Let's see. NATOS call at 32. Oh, did they? Hold on. ATOS. If you're talking at 32, what strike is that, or what expiration? The highest strike I see right now is 16. Dutch would agree on exit strategy almost word for word. That's awesome. You know what? I really want to hook up with them. I know you mentioned it yesterday on the stream. I just got to do it. I'll send them a message after this one's over. Try to find them on the subreddit or on the Discord, and say what's up. And I think it'd be cool to kind of link up or something, because he's been putting out some great stuff too. I really like his videos. Anyone who's just joining the stream and you're new to the stream, obviously kind of the canned subscribe. That way you know when I'm going live again or when I drop videos, hit the like button. But also, if you're in on CLOV, there's this dude Dutch Trades. He's been doing a lot of great videos on CLOV as well. And I think to build the CLOV community, subscribe to him, like his videos. Tar Heel Blue, subscribe to him, like his videos. Sean Stock, same thing. Because by subscribing to these guys and liking their videos, you're getting them deeper into the YouTube algorithm. And that goes for, really any video that if you're in on ATOS or if you're in on Gamestop, the more you like and subscribe to these people, you're helping them get exposure, which is going to put them as the next up when someone's looking for stocks, right? And it's just going to help build the community. So specifically with CLOV, please, because we're really trying to build the CLOV community, go subscribe to Dutch. Go subscribe to Sean Stocks. Go subscribe to Tar Heel Blue. Go like their videos. Let's get them into these algorithms, including mine as well, and continue to build this community. Also, go in the description of this YouTube channel or this today's stream and check out the CLOV Discord. Check out the CLOV subreddit. Let's see. SEC can screw us on the way up. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Oh, let's see. I saw 5 SEC stops, AMC squeeze. Each time the stop ended, the streak was 20% down. Scary, like it blew all the way to 72. So that's actually that's just a circuit breaker. So what you see there, and we haven't seen one. I'm waiting for a GameStop circuit breaker. I feel like I haven't seen one in 6 months, but basically when you start seeing like a true, kind of gamma squeeze, like if we would have saw 2 weeks ago, if CLOV would have blew out the option chain again and ran to 42, or even if ATOS right now gets moving and ends up busting all the way to 20, we'll probably see a couple circuit breakers. But what that is, it's not necessarily anyone going in there and doing anything nefarious. That just happens. So whenever a stock moves, and I could be wrong, but I think it's more than 10% on a 1 minute candle. And I could be wrong on the 10% 1 minute thing, but it's something like that. It's a specific amount. And whenever a stock moves that much, automatic circuit breaker, and they just stop the stock for 5 minutes of trading to give people the opportunity to either exit their position, or exit their short position, and it works both ways. So if a stock drops 10% in 1 minute downwards, they'll pull the plug on it for 5 minutes, just to kind of halt everything and give people time to maybe you didn't even notice it was happening and you're driving, or you're not watching the charts all day and you have an alert set, and then you're like, oh my god, I got to get out of this. So they're giving people 5 minutes to kind of regroup and situate. But a lot of people, I think, get scared when that happens, um, and don't understand. And especially since the GameStop thing where they kind of pulled the plug and stopped the buying, I think that since then a lot of newer investors like see that circuit breaker and think, oh my God, they're messing with us again. But these circuit breakers have been happening forever. I mean, when I used to day trade a lot, you'd be in these little mini short squeezes where people are, a stock goes on a breakout, you're buying in, and a ton of more retail interest is buying in, and all of a sudden you're triggering short stop losses and causing these little short squeezes, and you'd see maybe 2 or 3 halts, and sometimes it comes off a halt and it continues to blow up. Sometimes it comes off a halt and people are taking profits, but that's basically what that is. Um, yeah, no, no problem too. Thanks for the advice. I mean, that's just my kind of plan. But I mean, I lose money too. I'm not an expert by any means. I just, that's my game plan. And sometimes I don't even follow my own advice. Greed takes over, and the psychological aspect of it, and how much money you can make, and really that's when you lose. So it's always good to have an exit strategy and follow it. Figures, coach got the playbook. Yeah, you know what? I mean, this was even before I even had a thought about doing a YouTube channel or anything like that. But yeah, it looked like a football playbook, and I think that's what drew me to it when I saw it on Amazon. But it really is. It's a great resource. It's called the Options Playbook. Um, Skyview Trading has great videos on options, beginner's guide, so to speak. Right on. I'll check that out too. I'm learning every day too. I mean, there's still stuff that I have questions about, like even like the halt. I know it's something like 10% 1 minute, but the more you talk about stuff, the more you master it. The more you try stuff, the more you master it. So it's like, and that's why I like doing this too. Um, and that's why I even say with the options, you could read all the books in the world, but you're really not going to know until you try it. But to me, to really kind of learn on options and not get burned, my sounded best advice that I would give would be to find a stock that's not one of these meme stocks that you're interested in, um, and maybe a stock you think has the potential to do good over the next 2 to 3 months, and go buy yourself one call contract, maybe even 6 months away. Just one, and maybe buy it like 10 or 20% out of the money. So what I mean by that, I don't even know what Disney's trading at right now, but let's say Disney was trading at $60, and you think Disney's going to do good over the next couple months. Maybe go buy a January Disney contract for at the $65 strike, or maybe the $70 strike, And that way you can kind of watch how it happens, you know, and familiarize yourself with how theta works, you know, how your time decay is going to work, and how, you know, and obviously that might be too slow for some people and they just want to jump right in. But start small, because you could lose a lot with options, especially if the market turns, you know, market goes on a 1 week downturn, that could blow out your entire account. It's also not smart to probably play with more than 20%. I don't know the exact number. I mean, there's been times where I've had my account more than 50% in options. And there's also been times that I've lost a lot because of that. So, but I would say like a safe, you know, is maybe try not to keep your account more than 20% in options, you know, because at any moment your options can get completely wiped out. Not financial advice, just your opinion. BNGO and AVXL, are those option plays or shares? So, um, AVXL, I don't really feel comfortable with giving too much advice on. I do believe in, you know, what the company's doing and what their potential is long term. I did buy some short term options, and by short term I mean like August 20th ones, because I just have a gut feeling that it's going to go on a run soon. But that's all it is based on, right? You know, I think it's consolidating off that last run up, and it's gonna continue to kind of blow up, similar to what I'm looking at with ATOS. Although AVXL I am more comfortable with. ATOS I was purely based on, you know, the potential for a gamma squeeze. BNGO, um, you know, if you were gonna go with options on that, I would say that the safer way to go is, and I think I just did a video on it recently. Let me pull up the options chart on this. I would go out deep, as deep as you can. You know, maybe get to like February of next year. You know, or let me see here. Oh, this is January. You know, give yourself 6 months or something like that. And if you look at the price, you know, let's say for like even the $12 or the $10, you know, you'd be paying $175 to basically control 100 shares. Um, you know, but really, if you're going that far out, you might as well even maybe get more in the money. Pay $245 for, you know, to control 100 shares at the $8 strike, and then you just need the stock to get to 1045. But that's only 6 months away still, right? You know, it. I don't know. I mean, knowing that you're doing it, I have a hard time kind of giving you the more riskier advice, because I don't want people to lose money. But at the same time, so what I bought on BNGO was August calls, um, $15 strike. Okay, so I went here and I bought these. Right now they're $17 a contract at the $15 strike. But keep in mind, that only gives me 51 days for this stock to almost double. But kind of what I'm banking on too isn't necessarily that it's going to double. It's that it's going to just get some upward movement maybe in the next 20 or 30 days. So in the next 20 days, if it even just rises to like 12 or 13, those contracts are going to be worth a ton of money, and I'll just sell them, you know, well in advance. I also think this stock has the potential to blow past 15 in the long term. So in that case, I would say shares, you'd be looking definitely good at. You know, I think BNGO long term, very similar to CLOV, in that, you know, and some of these other plays. And I feel the same way about AVXL too. But AVXL is going to have to get FDA approval, so it's a little riskier. But like BNGO, their Sapphire system in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years is going to be a disruptor in the cancer research kind of area. And it's not anything that they need to get approval on. They're selling this to labs and, you know, and to other people. So it's a system that other people are using for cancer research, for COVID research, and that sort of stuff. So I really think that as they continue to grow as a company and get this Sapphire system out, this is gonna BNGO is gonna be like hundred to $200 stock at some point. You know, so shares definitely safer. But if you wanted to make a bet, that's kind of why I went with those August 20th, just to see if maybe they get some catalyst or news and it jumps up to about $15 and tries to test that. Just bought the playbook. Yeah, honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with it. I mean, I don't read it enough, but it's very simple to understand. It puts everything in really basic terms, and the way you read it, it's like, oh, okay, I want to do a put. There's a page for put. You open it up, and it's got everything. It tells you how to do it, when you would want to do it. It really breaks things down. ATOS 716. Yeah, okay, that's the same thing I did. That's the same thing I did. Okay, I got you. And you're saying you got it for 35 cents. All right, right on. Yeah, so I bought them earlier in at 28 cents. Looks like they're worth 30 right now. So, but really, I mean, we have 2 weeks, and this was a bet. And, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm not. It's not like I'm not terribly confident that it's going to happen, but the opportunity exists to make some really big money there. My screen would not update fast enough. AMC hitting N500 to get price. Dizzy fast movement. Oh, okay. Yeah, AMC does look like it's breaking out. It is currently at. Here, I'll pull that up for you too. AMC at 57.15 right now and running. Yeah, AMC. I know some of you guys are in AMC, and it is moving. Now, one thing I've noticed just watching AMC over the last couple weeks, it has hit that like 60 level. I think yesterday it might have touched 61 at the open, and it keeps seeing major resistance there. I don't see any right now, but I'd imagine once we get closer to 60, you'll see a little bit of a sell wall. And I will say this: if AMC, now I'm not invested in AMC, but if it breaks through 60 and holds above it, I think it might go on a little run right now. Just based on the charts and how I've been watching them and how some of these meme stocks have been playing. 60's been a huge resistance level. If it can get above there right now, I could see it really starting to take off. Limit orders, GTC is the plan. Good till cancel. Let's see. Marin. Not sure what you're talking about. Oh, MRIN. Sorry, I missed the chat. So happening on MRIN right now. I don't want to take these ones off, but I'm going to look at MRIN on my phone. Marin Software Inc. One year, 1 day. Oh yeah, that one looks like it's up huge too. Some of these pharmaceutical companies and you know medical stocks, they really tend to move. So yeah, so MRIM was at $1.54 a couple days ago, and now trading at 11 after hitting a high at 1882. Just wish I knew how to get into those ahead of time. Let's see. Gotta say, I appreciate the way you teach, getting your initial investment out, saying when the trade is risky, no sugarcoating. I'm sub now. Right on. I'm glad. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. And so I'm actually, if you're new to this channel, I'm a teacher. So I'm a high school teacher, and I think I got really good at this, kind of like talking into a screen to people I can't see during COVID. Doing my 6 classes a day. Um, you know, for the last year and a half, and it really prepped me for this. But and I've also been coaching high school football for 20 years, and I think that's one of my strengths is being able to kind of simplify things for people and put them in different ways. That everybody learns differently. Some people are hands-on. Some people need to see things. Some people need to hear things. And that's the way I've always approached coaching. And so when I started teaching 5 years ago, that's the way I've approached teaching. And I enjoy doing this more so just because I like watching stocks and I like talking about them. It's just sometimes you get around your friends, at least me, on the weekends and stuff, and if they're not into stocks and they don't invest, and it's like if the conversation comes up, then I start detouring the conversation and talking about stocks, and it's hard to find people that are into the same type of stuff. So I love to sit in here and kind of chopping it up with everybody. Um, I agree with you, Coach. Start small in options and always give yourself plenty of time, more than a couple of ways away. Yeah, I mean, that's always been like my rule of thumb. It's just with some of these meme stocks, and these highly volatile ones, sometimes it's you can make more profit because you can get in cheaper on a weekly, and it's just risky. And so I think you need to know that and kind of have the a little bit of the experience with options before I start recommending to people to go buy a weekly call on AMC because it might pop right now, or something like that. I mean, I think that but buying further out on something like AMC right now is too damn expensive. So it's just a matter of getting that experience and learning. And one thing that I will say for anyone who's new to options is always pay attention to the IV. Okay, so the IV is the implied volatility, and it greatly affects the pricing of your contracts. That is one thing that I pointed out in that option video that I did make a couple months back. And basically, I took a comparison. I think I used CLOV as a comparison because this was right around the time that I started covering CLOV. But if CLOV trading at $10 with a low IV as compared to, I think AMC at the time might have been trading at 10, and or 12, and AMC with a high IV, two stocks, same expiration date, very similar strike prices, and you were paying almost 3 times the amount for AMC. Why? Because of the high IV. So, wow, AMC's got a $100,000 buy wall at 57.20. There, it looks like they're trying to move this stock today. Um, just while we're looking at it. So, anyways, pay attention to IV. You really don't want to buy when IV is high. When IV is extremely high, if you're bullish on a stock, buy the shares. When IV is low, that's when I would say you want to go in and buy calls. If you're making bets, like sometimes I go in and just make bets. And when I say I'm making a bet, it's money that I'm willing to throw away. It's not an investment for me. It's a bet. It's a gamble. When I'm making gambles, sometimes I don't care about IV. I think the stock has momentum, and I'm willing to jump in, even though the IV is high. ATOS right now has a super high IV. So if this stock trades sideways for the next week or so, that contract will lose a lot of money just based on the IV drop. But there's only 2 weeks left in the contract, so I'm banking on it just taking off. Yeah, ATOS IV right now is at 209%. Morning coach from the UK. End of quarter two today. You think hedges will reevaluate the money spent shorting with these fees, or do you think the next big catalyst is July 16th monthly options expiring? It really all depends. I know, like at the end of quarter two. By the way, before I even get started, thank you for visiting from the UK. That's absolutely amazing. I'm going to keep saying this every time. I think we had some people on here, from overseas and different countries, and that's just like mind blowing to me. So thank you. I appreciate it. So it really all depends, right? I mean, because everyone thinks speculates that okay, the end of the quarter, people are going to try to shore up their books today. And while that's true, you have people on both sides, right? I mean, you have people who are long a stock that are going to try to push the stock up before the end of quarter two. And then you have hedge funds that are maybe going to try to push it down before the end of quarter two or exit positions. So there's so much going on in the markets that it's really hard to get excited about something like that. For me at least, because I feel like I've learned a lot, like with GameStop over the last 6 months, in that whenever I do get my hopes up for something, it seems like that's when it doesn't happen. So now I just kind of take the just kind of hold, be patient, sit back and wait. But at the same time, in terms of a catalyst, I think that in terms of CLOV, the major catalyst that I see, and let me just read, which can happen at any day, is this. This is the updated Ortex today. One thing I'll point out, not a ton of borrowed shares today. You know, yesterday by this time, I think we were sitting at like 3-4 million net borrowed. Today, only 168. But this is why. 134% cost to borrow on the low end, 300 on the high end, 258 on the average. To me, that's going to be a catalyst in itself. You know, you have 55 million shares on loan, and it's expensive as hell for these guys to borrow this stock right now. So at some point, as we continue to hold this stock up, you know, they tried to attack it today and they couldn't get it to hold below 1350. Yesterday they couldn't get it to hold below 13, and my assumption is they're running out of firepower. So, you know, the higher we're able to inch up, even just little baby steps, you know, from 13 to 1325 to maybe 1350. Maybe we close today above 14, but and with these extremely insane borrow fees, eventually that's going to be a catalyst in itself where some hedge fund or someone who's like heavily short the stock is going to say, you know what, I got to get out of this stock now. And when they buy back, you know, with volume being relatively lower than it was 2 weeks ago, it's going to drive the price a lot higher, especially considering that so many people are holding and not willing to sell now. So we shall see. But thank you again for joining from the UK. That is insane for me, just because, you know, I haven't had this channel for too long, and just to have somebody on here watching from a different country and stuff, it's really humbling. Talk about BBBY. I don't know much about it, but I'll check it out right now for you. Let's see here. So AMC's still running. I just want to look at some of these other stocks. ATOS is still kind of trading sideways, 633 right now. Space. I haven't really talked about space today, Virgin Galactic, but I know some people were into it the other day. It's down again. Currently trading at 43.25. Gamestop, I know I haven't talked about much today, but that's because it's just kind of been trading sideways. 209, hit a high of 211, bottom of 206. All right, so let's go to this chart. I'll pull up BBBY real quick. I know that was one of the original squeezes. I don't know what its short interest is right now or anything, but it does have a very similar chart looking to like some of these other ones. I'm assuming this is January, high of 53. And this was the June spike when a lot of the other memes started spiking. Got back up to 44. And is this today? Looks like it's running again today. And that looks like it's on news. So raises their sales outlook. Earnings take a hit from turnaround costs, but retailer raises 2021 sales forecast. So you got some news. You also got some good volume happening today. Let me look at the 5-minute chart. Went on a nice little run to 39.30. Doesn't seem to be like options induced or anything like a gamma squeeze or nothing like that. So this seems to be kind of like retail momentum, buying power. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about this stock. If it's still a squeeze play, which I'm not sure of at all, if it's still a highly shorted one, I mean, jumping up to 39, you know, potentially could cause some shorts to get out. It does look like, let me see, where we at? And it did break below VWAP now. So typically, you know, if it would have found support here, I would say it's ready to run back up. But at this point, I would say it's going to come down and try to find a bottom and then go back up and maybe find some more resistance here. So, again, I don't know much about it. Depending on what your cost basis is, if you got a profit right now, I would say maybe try to get out when you can. But I mean, this thing could also keep running and go up to test the all-time high. You know, if it's still a squeeze play, definitely too. I mean, you know, it could maybe get up here and get to 44 or try to get back to this 53. That is kind of a, you know, interesting chart though too. BBY is one that I never got into. Just got to be honest. Let's see here. What do we have? ATOS or GME? ATOS coming back down to this low of the day. Does have some buying support at 625, 620, and 610 and 605. This was these weird buy orders we were seeing earlier that matched up with the sells. Let's see here. They're going after BNGO now. Yeah, it looks like BNGO's heading down to like 715, trading downwards a little bit. I think it's pretty cool watching you start the morning stream all groggy and then seeing your fog clear eye. Yeah, well, I mean, it's early here too, right? And I've actually been up. I don't know if anyone watched that video that I made before. I think I made that video at 5 a.m. And then I started this stream at 6 a.m. But I've been up since 4. I couldn't sleep. So I kind of woke up this morning and, couldn't go back to bed. So I started working on some other stuff on the computer. And then, but yeah, the hard part is like I got 2 kids, 9 and 7, and also my wife, and they're all sleeping. So I try to stay quiet and I try like not to make coffee too early because the coffee machine makes noise, and I, give everybody a chance to wake up before I start making noise around the house. But I think one thing I'm gonna have to start doing is maybe just keeping some coffee like in the fridge and just pounding it cold in the morning. But I noticed that too. I do start to wake up. Um, let's see here. BNGO cost to borrow starting to ratchet up. You know what? I've been just pulling up Ortex on CLOV. I should start getting some other tabs up here of some of the other stocks that we've been talking about. Let me pull up BNGO. I know that BNGO does have somewhat of a short interest, nowhere near CLOV, but let's see here. Trying to keep it in a different tab so that it's, here we go, short interest. So here is our BNGO Ortex data. 31% of the free float on loans. So it looks like they 86 million shares on loan, 94% utilization. So it does look like it's pretty highly shorted, and they took out 3.4 million shares today. So short interest is up. So yeah, this stock is kind of getting hammered down right now. And again, I just want to check just to make sure. So it looks like, yeah, the float of BNGO is actually, it's a lot higher though too, right? So BNGO has 278 shares available, million. So when you're looking at some of these numbers in relation to CLOV, like, oh, they borrowed 3 million shares, that isn't as significant. They are still getting shorted though, and the cost to borrow right now, I didn't even look at it. Cost to borrow is 9.2. That's actually pretty high. 2.7% all the way upwards of 46 with an average of 16.95. So yeah, kind of the same thing where to me anything over like 1, 2, 3% is high. So you know, that's that does give incentive for shorts to get out, and which can help the stock go higher. I'm gonna fall into BNGO at 7. Yeah, I mean that's here. I'll just get it pulled up here too. But BNGO is a stock that I've always been interested in. A buddy of mine turned me on to it, and I think it's definitely got a lot of room to grow in what they're doing. It's a great company. Looking at the daily chart again, it would be really nice to kind of bounce up here and get out of this downward trend it's been trading in for the last couple weeks. Ever since we hit 912, you can kind of see that it's in this downward trend now. So if we could break out of that, I keep saying 8. I think getting above 8 and holding above 8 would kind of give us our reversal. But we'll see what happens. We also do have a gap fill. So it looks like 687. But I was talking about this a couple weeks back too. There's a gap there. While there was a gap here at 687 on June 21st, we did touch like 694, and to me, that would qualify enough as a gap fill. Um, sometimes it may go back down and fill all the way, but it doesn't have to be precise. And I think we were talking about that on one of the streams one day. That I think it was the CLOV gap fill when it had to go to 12 to fill the gap, and we got like, or it had to go to 1180. And we had went down and touched 12, and I'm thinking like, okay, it's just gonna roll now. It doesn't necessarily have to touch 1180. It's got down and filled it, but it did go down and fill it anyway. So these things aren't always precise, but you're right, absolutely right that BNGO may be trying to go down and touch 687 before it runs. These are self-fulfilling prophecies in that if enough people, oh sorry, I didn't even put your comment up, Worm. But these are self-fulfilling prophecies in that if enough people believe that there will be resistance, let's say on this VWAP at 1382, then there'll be enough sell orders at 1382. And enough buyers won't try to get in until we cross 1382. And the same thing goes with gap fills. If enough people prescribe to the notion that it still has to touch that 687, then you won't see a lot of buying pressure get back into the stock until it gets there. And that's kind of how that stuff works. Just looking around. Why did I didn't mean to change CLOV. But you know what I do like the idea of now? Is that I can click over here and just pull it up and that you guys can actually see it too. So Gamestop 210, gap down all the way to, or not gap down, but came down to 206. Like I said, hit a high of 211. Now trading at 210. What else haven't we pulled up? So AVXL, I thought was going to gap fill to 25. It looks like it might be going all the way down to 22 before it starts to rebound. But it did hit a high of 24.75 today. And now it looks like it's heading downwards again. Space, if anyone's still in it, hit a low of 43.08 and now trading at 43.84. The S&P 500 is continuing to rip. Is that an all-time high right there? No. So yesterday was the all-time high of 42.56. Sometimes the S&P 500 can draw the market down with it. If it finds resistance at 42.56 and starts heading downwards and getting back down into this range, even though that wouldn't be a huge loss for the SPY, considering where it opened, we'll start seeing some downward pressure in any other stocks you're in for the most part. Back to AMC, hit a high of 58.18. Maybe this can be some consolidation. I'm still interested to see if this thing can blow past 60. I really think if it blows past 60, any of you guys that are in AMC, you're going to see a nice run. If it can hold above 60, hold a 5-minute candle above. I think that's it. And then we had ATOS, which looks like it's trying to make some new lows. But we did hit 605 earlier. So, and there is a ton of support on this level too. So, hopefully we find a bottom and this thing starts to reverse. But kind of like I said with that video that I made last night, straight up bet. Obviously, market makers are going to try to suppress this stock because they know what can happen if they let it get above $7.50 or $8. So, but my assumption with these gamma squeeze setups and anybody who kind of came in late, just looking at the option chain and the 53,000, 57,000, 50,000, that's a ton of open interest for a stock with 100 million float. And, my assumption when you see this many calls is that while, that may be some retail, those are some big whales that are coming in. It doesn't always pan out, but when it does, it can pay off huge, and that's why I like to play these gamma squeezes. We did catch a couple recently. Anyone who's kind of been following, you know, we got that gamma squeeze a couple weeks back with CLOV that took us up to 22, blew the option chain out. AMC, we got, I don't know how many people saw that video. I had put it out, I think on a Tuesday night. Like, I'm buying these in the morning, and I bought those AMC calls, and that was just, I just got lucky. That was the day that that gamma squeeze took it up to 73. So I have been involved in some gamma squeezes, but I've also missed out on some. One of my very first CLOV videos was for a gamma squeeze I thought we would see in May. And, you know, that Hindenburg report came out and the market maker suppression, and we couldn't get it kicked off. Let's see. 687 it is. All right, so there now you got your buy order in for BNGO. Right on. URL for your options video. Yeah, let me pull it up. I'll just go on my channel real quick and see. Let me see here because I know it was a while back, and I mean, if people like it and think it was helpful, I'll continue to keep doing it. I kind of stopped. I started doing it because I was trying to explain, and I know that long videos are kind of hard to watch, um, you know, and it is 52 minutes long because I was just kind of freestyling and you know, let me see, okay, trying to cover all the bases at least on like the beginning of, you know, getting involved in options. But there's the video right there. Um, and I'm actually wearing the same shirt I'm wearing right here in the video now that I'm looking at it. But yeah, so you know, it's just a beginner's video. I kind of go over, break down some of the stuff in terms of just buying calls, you know, and then you know, my intention was going to be to maybe do puts next, and then maybe talk about selling calls like covered calls and some other stuff. But if people are liking it, even if it's a couple of you guys that would like to see more, I'll do it. But definitely check it out. Let me know what you think. Let's see here. So we got ATOS. AMC doesn't look like it's breaking through. Gamestop. Man. I mean, it's still holding above 200 on a daily chart or every single day. It hasn't closed below 200 for a while, you know, and I think that's just going to be ultimately good as the company, you know, as some catalysts come through or even failure to delivers or anything else. So I'm holding strong, and I think this $200 base that it has is just going to make it squeeze even higher. But you know, it's just being in a stock for 6 months. It does start to get tiring, but you know, and that's what we could be looking forward to in CLOV. It might take time, so you know, that's just something that you got to be prepared for, and you know, and that's why it is always better to have shares when you're in for a long squeeze play, and then if you want to throw options in as little bets, like, you know, make a bet that maybe CLOV's going to move this week and buy some calls, cool. But always have your shares. That way, if the calls don't pan out, they're going to expire worthless and you lose all your money in that. You still have your meat of the position still in the stock. But options do help create these gamma squeezes, which create upward movement too. So, you know, I think a combination of both is always good. You're going to make more money when things actually move up in options, but you're going to be a lot safer for the long haul with shares. So it's something to consider. Um, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to GameStop finally popping. And I will say this too, for anyone who's kind of new to the stream. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but you know, even though I'm not in AMC right now, I would love to see AMC bust through 60 and get on a run right here because the last time AMC ran, um, you know, I think it hit $73. The day it hit $73, um, as AMC started spiking and gamma squeezing and going on its run, all of a sudden, GameStop popped and started going on a run on the next 5 minute candle. And then on the next 5 minute candle after that, CLOV started moving. And that's when I first realized that CLOV was somewhat tied to these meme stocks. And that was what, almost 3-4 weeks ago now? Um, and my speculation on that is that, a lot of these shorters are shorting the same stocks. And so when they start unwinding positions because of the pressure caused by, let's say, AMC skyrocketing, or whether it be GameStop or CLOV skyrocketing, it kind of pressures them to kind of unwind their positions in general and start covering a little. And then you'll start seeing the covering across the board. In all the positions that they're in. It also brings in retail FOMO, right? So then, if right now AMC pops, people are going to say, "Oh my God, it's squeeze day," and then they're just going to start buying in on all these meme stocks, and I think that contributes to it too. But I do think that there's something to, um, the whole. A lot of these hedge funds are shorting the same stocks, and that's why we see a lot of them move in tandem. So let's see it. If AMC's ready to break above 60 today, and today's going to be the day that it breaks out, I'd love to see it because I think it's going to be better for everything. And it's going to make some of you guys a lot of money. So let me see. So we're almost getting near 8 o'clock. I know I say it every day. I got to go make my kids breakfast and get things situated and take care of some other business. I really appreciate everybody coming on. I really appreciate, you guys that have been subscribing. If you're new to the stream, please hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, hit the like button. And if you don't like the content, I don't know why you're here. I'm glad you're still watching. Hit the dislike button. Either way, let me know. And, this is fun. I'll continue to do it every day. I will be back on today for Power Hour. So that's 12 o'clock my time, but basically that last hour of the day. And, who knows? If we kind of get this upward momentum, I feel like every day as I start talking about signing off, all of a sudden CLOV goes on a little run and I end up staying on for an extra 10 minutes. But if we end up getting this little run and hitting this kind of gamma ramp up I've been talking about, and we touch 15, I'll be back here on Power Hour with some drinks. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys will join me. But I'm waiting until we get to 15. That could even be tomorrow. Could be next week. Let's see here. I got 50 July 23rd. $20 calls for CLOV. I'm down 4% on right now. But man, if this thing pops in the next week or two, these bad boys might pay the rent for the year. Yeah, and you know what? I'll mention this too for everybody that's still on. If you ever want to kind of get a rough gauge of, where your options. I know I brought this up on the stream before, but there's this website. Okay, it's called Options Profit Calculator. It's free. And especially since we've been talking a lot about options today, for anyone who's just learning. So like, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up what you have going right now. So a long call, I'm gonna go in here and type in CLOV. It puts up the current price. I'm gonna select that same exact options contract. So you said July 23rd, $20 call. There we go. And I'll just leave it at one contract right now, but you could put this in for 50 or whatever you want. And then you can calculate. And it'll give you up to, like what the option was at. So like right now it's at 20. I have this set at the spread value. So this is based on if I paid 95 cents right now for that call. And then you can see day by day. If CLOV gets to 21 today, that's going to all of a sudden be worth $428 as opposed to the $95 you just spent on it. Every day we get closer to expiration, it'll go down in value. You could even go in here and change the range and say, okay, well, what if CLOV went up and tested, the high of 28? Well, if that was to happen, now you'd be looking at $9. So turning that $95 into 900. You can also see how much you could lose and where you need to be at. Like, if we got to jump on CLOV to 16 today, you could sell that contract for $188. But if you just held it and CLOV just kind of stayed at $16. At some point, right around July 12th, you're going to start losing money. So Options Profit Calculator, it's a great website. It's a great resource, especially as you're learning to kind of get an idea of how options are priced. So definitely, if you're new to it or if you're ever unsure, and there's other settings in there, so I could have went in there and set it at 50 and even changed the buy-in price to whatever you bought in for, and you can kind of really gauge how much am I going to be able to sell this for, at what point am I going to lose. The only thing that I don't think it takes account for is IV. And I know I talked about IV a little bit earlier, but when you see a stock, let's say double, let's say CLOV all of a sudden jumps up to $20. And right now the IV is currently around like 160%. On the way up to that $20, the IV is probably going to make, jump the stock up to like, or the IV on the stock is probably going to jump up to maybe like 350%, 400%. And that alone is going to add even more value to your contracts too. So Options Profit Calculator doesn't really take that into an account. I know you can go in there and mess with that setting too and say, okay, I want to set the IV at 500% or whatever you want to put it at to see how that affects pricing. So it's a great tool. It's a great resource. It's something that's fun to play around with. Um, you know, I know like in the early stages of like learning how to do options and stuff, I used to spend hours on there. Okay, well, what happens if this happens? And they also, let's say, like I know you said, Nolan, you just ordered the options playbook. They don't just do long calls. Like you can go in here, and I'll just maximize this real quick, and you could, get into some of this advanced stuff and do like a covered call or a put spread or an iron condor and do the same thing and see how it would pan out depending on which way the stock moves. So it's a free resource. To me, it's a great resource for anyone who's learning. All right. It's 8 o'clock. Before I sign off, I'll just real quick because I want to know too, because I'm about to walk away from these charts. So, Gamestop, trading above VWAP. Nothing much going on. AMC looks like maybe it's not going to break out. Probably looking to go down and touch VWAP and bounce back up. This seems to be what's been happening every day. It gets shorted really hard once it gets near 60. ATOS, 4 green candles in a row. Maybe we found our bottom. Looking at the level 2, we saw a lot of support, and I'm seeing even more now. 111,000 shares at $6. So someone doesn't want this thing to fall below 6, which is going to prevent that reverse gamma that we don't want to happen. So that's good. Hopefully that holds, and we see this thing push up. I'll add this in there too for anyone that's going to join for Power Hour. If we can get ATOS, let's say trading above 7. I want to drink today, so either one. CLOV at 15, ATOS above 7. All right, here we go. So AVXL, what do we got? AVXL still heading downwards. I really think it's going to try to fill this gap from the other day now. And let me zoom out and just kind of show that again. So my initial speculation was a gap fill, this gap fill right here, and it blew right past it. Now I think it's going down to fill this 22.23. Really wish I would have held off on buying in. I got in around here yesterday, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I still think this is going to bounce back. And what else do we got here? CLOV right now trading below VWAP. Kind of a boring, day, but we are holding above 1350 now, which I think is extremely bullish. I think, at some point today we are going to get up here and kick off this little nice little gamma ramp up to 16. Also, while we're on the subject of CLOV, we'll take a look at the Ortex data before I sign off. And it looks like, well, that's not updated. Not a lot of new shares borrowed today. So kind of like we suspected, it looks like they're running out of firepower, or they're afraid of these high interest rates. So things are looking really positive for CLOV. I know, like, you look at the charts and it doesn't seem like it, but we're not getting heavily shorted. We're holding above VWAP for the most part. We're holding above. I'm looking over here now. We're holding above 1350. As we break above VWAP again, I should say, I think we'll be looking ahead for another breakout. I think I covered everything that we've been talking about today. Really excited about the rest of the day. You guys, good luck in whatever stocks you're in. Let's all make some money. And if you want to come back and join me, I'll be on at 12 o'clock doing the last hour of the markets for Power Hour. And I will potentially be having a couple cocktails if we get CLOV above 15 or ATOS above 7. I don't want to forget what I already promised. And you know what? Because I love me some Gamestop and I've really been waiting, Gamestop above 225. So let's see what happens. Any of those things, and we're going to have some fun this afternoon. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it.